What's going on, everyone? Thanks for coming to watch. I've got an update for you guys on this pretty big severe weather event that we've got unfolding across the Northeast today. We've got some pretty intense storms that will move through this region, through all the way from early this afternoon all the way into 10, 11, maybe even the midnight kind of time frame. But we are going to be tracking two different storm systems that are going to be moving their way across different regions of the U.S. So first off, you can tell, and you can see that we have our first storm system that's controlling this severe weather up in the Northeast. This is going to be moving its way through southern Canada, but the bands of severe weather that we're going to be focusing on are they're being controlled by that localized center low pressure center of the storm. Okay. And then you can also see down here in places like around Missouri, parts, this actually would include parts of the St. Louis area. You do have some more strong to severe storms moving through that region. You can see that we've got a line that's just going to be pushing down into the southeast, and that's going to be delivering also some more severe storms. But for the most part, let me tell you guys, we will see more of these storms ignite up here in the central U.S. as we get into the afternoon hours of today, where those temperatures really get raised up enough to ignite severe storms. And we'll also have, obviously, the dynamics that will be lining up, and we'll have that convection left over in the atmosphere from yesterday and recent severe weather events. But yeah, this is pretty much what's been happening. But here are those developing thunderstorms off to the west. These aren't thunderstorms quite yet, but they are rain showers. They have been moving their way across parts of Colorado and parts of New Mexico. Those are going to move pretty much due east, and then eventually, once they get about to this point here, this line here, I think that's when they're gonna turn severe, and they're going to, while they move through this region here with that arrow, this area of Oklahoma and Kansas, where our main focus is, we're probably going to see strong to severe storms, but I think we could definitely have another push of severe storms out here in places like southern Illinois, parts of Indiana, and then also parts of eastern Missouri. So I've got all the details on that coming right up. So we will get into our updates, starting with our alerts. So let me pull this, or actually temperatures, excuse me. So let me pull this up for you guys. And you can see that this was around 8 a.m. this morning. You're waking up to some pretty nice temperatures out here in the Northeast. You can see it's not too hot just yet. This just around 8 a.m. You're waking up to temperatures all across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic in the 60s. Some of you down south could get back into the 70s. And we go to mid-afternoon. Here you go. You start getting pretty warmed up, but you can see where that moisture is closer up to Canada, where that center of the storm is, where that severe weather is. You have a lot of moisture bringing down those temperatures back into the 70s. You're probably going to stay like that until it clears up and the sun's out of the clouds. But if you're staying near the coast, where the severe weather hasn't struck there yet, you're still going to be in the 80s for today. Maybe some of you around New York City, down south into the Delmarva region could touch 90 degrees. But the rest of you guys should stay in the 80s and 70s. We go to the southeast. You can see that you're starting off this afternoon in the 90s. You can see 9,900 degrees out here across all of Florida, all of Georgia, the Carolinas. You guys will be baking in the mid to upper 90s, and maybe some of you could even touch 100 degrees out here in South Carolina. And we just moved closer to that heat dome, a little bit closer to where the heart of that heat dome is. And you finally can start seeing that 100 degrees and maybe even over 100 degrees out here in Mississippi and Alabama. But if you're in the extreme southern portions of Mississippi and Alabama, the boot heel of Mississippi, you could definitely see temperatures that could reach 103, 104 degrees. So we definitely see that as a problem, because that heat it's been so bad for so long that it's not been good for these people out here that are trying to stay cool, but you have to stay cool every single day. Then you go a little bit further north into the Tennessee Valley. You can see you guys will be kind of be shaky with those temperatures. They're gonna be up and down. You're gonna probably see most of you guys will be around the upper 70s all the way into the lower 90s. If you're farther north, farther northeast, a little bit closer to places like Kentucky, West Virginia, and North Carolina, you'll probably stay in the lower 90s and upper 80s for most of today. But if you're closer, to places like Missouri and northern Arkansas, you'll dip down way into the 70s. So there's gonna be a dramatic change of temperatures. Whereas you've been in the hundreds for pretty much all of this week, and then now you're gonna abruptly see 70 degrees pop up on your air temperature map. That's pretty much what we're seeing for you guys today. And you can see we go out to the Ohio Valley. You guys will be in the 80s. Some of you guys could get as far down as 70 degrees. But most of you guys will stay in the lower to mid 80s. And for the North Central, we can see most of you guys in the 80s. Some of you, if you're in the Dakotas or if you're in places like northern Minnesota near Minneapolis, if you're in northern Wisconsin, maybe even northern Michigan, you will actually be staying in the 70s for most of you. That's pretty much the nicest weather you're going to see throughout the United States. Is really up here in the northern regions uh, of Minnesota, I would say exactly. But you could get even as low as 65 degrees if you're way up north out here, closer to the Great Lakes regions. You could definitely get as far down as 65 degrees, but that would be pretty nice. We'll go to the South Central U.S. We'll put this to 8 p.m. just because it's going to get a little bit hotter out there. And you can see that for the most part, Texas, you guys are just going to be baking as usual. You can see pretty much the entire state of Texas is going to be in 100-degree weather. Although if you're in these little areas, these pockets of moisture or just rainfall or maybe even severe thunderstorms, you could definitely see that. You could definitely see those temperatures really get down back into those 80s and some even the 70s out here. If you're in northern Texas, and then out across the panhandle of Texas, you can see that there is this pocket of cooler air that's going to bring temperatures down into the 80s, but it's still going to be very, very muggy. So when you have that heat right there, but you also have that moisture in the air, it gets very, very sticky. And that's what's going to be happening for you folks in western Texas. But yeah, you can see if you go up towards the DFW area, 106, 108, you could even get up to 110 degrees. It's going to be that hot. I mean, at this point, you guys are pretty much all used to this. But even up into parts of southern Oklahoma, you could even get as hot as places near the Dallas and Fort Worth area. And then you could see that if you go over to the southwest, you can see the temperature has considerably dropped. So that is a very, very good sign. Because it was getting pretty dangerous out here in places like New Mexico and in Arizona. I mean, we saw temperatures as high as 120 degrees out across the border of Arizona and California. That's how hot it got. But I mean, look at this. This is going to be pretty much midday for you guys, and you're touching 105. I mean, that's very, very hot still. I'm not saying it's hands down very, very hot. Although it's definitely considerably cooler than or less hot than it used to be, which is very, very good. But I mean, you can see that pretty much this entire region is going to be under 105 degrees unless you're right here in this area. But I don't think anybody's going to get way over 105 degrees. Maybe some of you could get 106, 107, but it is really not nearly as bad as it used to be. But yeah, you can see that for this entire area, you'll probably be anywhere from lower to mid 70s all the way up into the lower hundreds. So it's going to be kind of all over the place. But there are some areas that are going to have some more leftover moisture and cooler air behind those showers and thunderstorms. And that's what we see here. You can see temperatures getting all the way down into the 60s and then the 50s for some of these areas just west of the Rockies. 58 degrees right here, 54 degrees up here, out here in Utah. 65 degrees. I mean, it's gonna feel like spring for some of you guys that are closer to those mountainous regions or maybe closer to the desert. Um, but even for some of those areas that have been baking all summer long, you could get as low as 75 degrees for sure. So, you could definitely see a pretty major cool down uh, as far as we for temperatures go today. And then for the Northwest, you guys will pretty much have the same story as the Southwest. Although for those people that are going to be in the hottest weather for your region, it's not going to be. It's definitely not going to be in the hundreds. You're probably going to touch 95, lower 90s for the areas with the hottest weather. And then for areas of Montana, Idaho, and then Wyoming, you could get as low as 75, 60, and then maybe even 59 degrees. So we're going to be moving on to our alerts. And you can see that for right now, you do have our main alert of the day, which is going to be our tornado watch. We have a tornado watch up for a very, very big area of the interior parts of the Northeast. This is including a lot of western Pennsylvania. You notice all of northern and western Pennsylvania is under a tornado watch at the moment. Okay? You don't have any severe thunderstorm watches up at the moment either, which is a little surprising to see that move being made by the National Weather Service. So I would say even if you don't see a severe thunderstorm watch, if you see a tornado watch, you got to be ready for any type of severe weather, but mainly tornadoes. Okay, so this stretches all the way from the Buffalo area. I might be just south of Buffalo, but that general area down through parts of northern and western Pennsylvania, and then this does include parts of eastern Ohio. Now, there is a tornadic storm that has been tracking over this area, so just watch out for some of you guys near Pittsburgh. I think you guys are going to be fairly close to this area, but there is a pretty tornadic and rotating supercell that has been moving across Ohio. I've been watching that system, so watch out for you guys along the Ohio and Pennsylvania borderline. But set aside that, you go down to the southeast, there's that excessive heat warning that is going all the way from the panhandle of Florida up into Georgia. Pretty much the entire state of Alabama is going to be under this excessive heat warning. Mississippi, except northern Mississippi, pretty much all of Mississippi is going to be under that. The entire state of Louisiana is under a excessive heat warning. Parts of southern and central Arkansas, and then parts of eastern Texas is under that excessive heat warning. Okay, we do have another region that is included in a severe thunderstorm watch. We do have parts of western North Carolina. You guys actually, a lot of counties out here I just noticed are under a severe thunderstorm warning. So, I mean, it's ongoing right now in eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina. There is a secondary severe weather threat just after that round of severe weather moved through the other day. Well, here it is moving through, and it's bringing some strong to severe storms for areas from all the way from extreme western North Carolina all the way down into northern Georgia. Then we have another severe thunderstorm watch area, including part of 3 counties of southeastern Colorado, parts of southwestern Kansas, and parts of northern Texas. It does run through the panhandle of Oklahoma, so for this entire general area, there are some strong to severe storms possible. This is for that area that's just ahead of my main focused area, and pretty much everyone's main focused area for severe weather today. Other than the Northeast, it would be in this region right here. So we may even see another severe thunderstorm watch that will be issued. That's definitely possible for this little area right there. Then we do have another third area under severe thunderstorm watch, which would be up here in parts of southwestern North Dakota. That's also for that region of some of those developing thunderstorms that are going to get going as we pretty much as we just passed 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, I guess. But yeah, these are definitely going to get going fast. And then for the northwest, you got some commotion going on over here. You've got an excessive heat watch for a lot of northern Idaho and then parts of eastern Washington State. Excessive heat warnings for the coastal regions of Oregon. And then red flag warnings stretching from the mountainous regions of Washington State. And that's going to be pretty much it for your alerts. So we're going to be moving on to our NAM 3KM model for, I believe, the Northeast. So we'll wait for this to load. But we're just going to be kind of breaking down each storm that's going to be rolling through this area, and we're going to be breaking down kind of what the highest threat of severe weather could be based on looking at what the NAM is showing. So starting off, you could see that this was pretty much where we are right now. This is just maybe it's actually could be just an hour ago or so. But we see the strongest of storms really charging through northern Ohio and then into parts of northeastern Pennsylvania. I think you guys would probably see the first of the really severe and dangerous storms. But these are going to be tornadic storms. I think if you're going to get a tornado out of one of these storms, I think it's probably going to be back here into parts of northeastern Ohio, because these have a lot of room to rotate. They show a lot of curviness here, which obviously is a sign for tornadic storms. But I'm not saying that the tornado threat's going to be completely down for up here in northwestern PA, because these storms are also going to roll through that area. It's just that the first of the storms you guys are going to get are just going to be damaging wind producers, but behind them are going to be those tornado producers. But I think these could definitely produce damaging wind gusts. If you're in any of these counties up here in Pennsylvania, let me draw that line better. But if you're pretty much in this general area of this arrow, I think you could definitely see a damaging wind producer at some point today, probably around 9-10 p.m. I think I would say maybe even a bit earlier. So maybe 7-8 p.m. tonight, somewhere around then, you could definitely get a storm that could produce damaging wind gusts. But that line is probably going to fall apart as the tornado threat really just starts to ramp up. I mean, this storm up here looks concerning to me. This would be just around the Syracuse area. I think you guys, all these storms, these are all developing supercells. These are all rotating supercells. They have a lot of room. They're discrete storms. They have a lot of room to rotate. So I think, I really do think that these look concerning to me. This one really does not look. It doesn't look good for areas of upstate New York. I think you guys could definitely. I think we might even just in just a few hours, we're probably going to get a report of a tornado somewhere up here in this region. But we could definitely, as of now, we have the highest tornado threat out here in northeastern Ohio. But even on the backside of the storm, throughout this entire region, we could have a secondary tornado threat. That's definitely possible, because you can see here we've got more developing supercells with some more room to rotate. They're spaced out, but they're not too far apart, and they look intense enough to be able to produce tornadoes. So we'll obviously have to track and watch those. But we get into the overnight hours of tonight. This line of storms pushes their way southeastward. This area farther south, this couple of or line of storms, I should say, that's going to be farther south. It's going to move southwestward and or southeastward. It's going to try and impact parts of the Delmarva area, parts of Northern Virginia, and then parts of looks like central and southern New Jersey. So the Toms River area, if you're anywhere near there, or any family members that are on the coastline here, watch out for some late night strong to severe storms. And then up here in the Northeast, we have still more and more tornadic action coming together, and you can see that. These look pretty much just the same as the ones we saw just a few time frames or I guess runs ago. You still see, you really don't see any difference with those storms. They're still very strong looking. They have a lot of room to rotate. They're discrete storms. They got some curviness on them, telling you that most of them, the majority of those storms are going to be trying to rotate at some point. But this could continue and carry on all the way until this is the middle of the night. We're getting into Sunday. This is about 3 a.m. on Sunday, and uh, we still got some more storms pushing their way farther west. Some strong to severe storms out here in southeastern PA and parts of western Delaware, parts of Maryland. And this line of storms makes its way all the way out to the coastal regions of the Northeast. So if you're in New York City, if you're in Trenton, New Jersey, any of these highly populated areas and cities on the coastline, I think at some point early tomorrow morning, you could be waking up to some hail that's going to be pounding on your roof. Anything is possible, and maybe even a tornado or two with these storms. Some area of western, I would say, some area of western western Rhode Island, western Massachusetts, and western Connecticut, you definitely could see an isolated tornado or two. And then strong to severe storms could roll through the New York City and Long Island area. So that's all possible for tonight into early tomorrow morning. And then all of a sudden this ramps up again. We get into the afternoon hours where those temperatures really, they get higher and higher, and that's going to bring more convection into the atmosphere. That's going to line the dynamics up, and then boom, here you go, another explosive line of storms rolling right through the coastal regions of Massachusetts, and then the entire state of Rhode Island is going to be impacted by some very, very intense storms. I think it's more than likely. It's pretty much almost. I think I'm almost expecting some strong severe storms for Rhode Island. If you want really the most specific area of Rhode Island, I would say the southwestern coastline of Rhode Island, right in here, could definitely see a severe storm. Not only strong but severe thunderstorm. And this line will move out at around 2 p.m. tomorrow. So this severe weather threat is going to persist all the way into late afternoon tomorrow, because we still see some more storm action across the Cape Cod region, parts of the coastal regions of eastern Maine, and then we finally see this storm roll out once we get into the evening hours of tomorrow. It's glitching a lot, so I think we're going to be moving on to our SBC outlook. Let me just get my computer together. It's really acting up at the moment. But let me see if this is going to work with me. All right, here we go. So for your severe weather outlook today, this is our SBC outlook. Starting off with our categorical outlook, you could see that for the most part, the highest severe weather threat is going to be definitely that area under the tornado watch. We're up to an enhanced risk, which is a level 3 out of 5 risk. So that's a relatively high risk. That's pretty much just in the medium zone. But it is a pretty big enhanced risk. So it's very, very unlikely. But if this were to happen, we could definitely see a moderate risk pop up and be issued by the SPC somewhere in this region, in the middle of that enhanced risk. That's definitely possible. But that would pretty much happen anywhere in the early morning hours of today. So that didn't happen, which was a very good sign that these severe storms won't be as bad as they could possibly be. But you can definitely see that we've got a pretty big area under the enhanced risk. So you've got an area stretching all the way from the western portions of Albany all the way down into parts of northern and western PA, and this makes it all the way to Cleveland, Ohio. So, this could even maybe. I mean, it's definitely possible. It's unlikely this could get extended as far west as Columbus, Ohio. It's definitely possible, but this is a pretty big area that's going to be under the gun for severe weather today. And then for that slight risk, these are the surrounding areas of that enhanced risk. You've got areas stretching all the way from southern Vermont, New Hampshire, down through the Mid Atlantic. Well, not quite. I wouldn't say Mid Atlantic. I would actually think this would probably be southern New England. This goes down through Connecticut, the western portions of Connecticut, western portions of Massachusetts. This rides through Long Island, specifically the central and western parts of Long Island. Sweeps right through New York City. I want you guys to notice that this goes right through New York City, right through central and northern New Jersey. This does include Philadelphia. Snakes its way down into parts all the way through southern PA, and then this also does include western West Virginia, and then this also does include areas of western and central Ohio. This includes Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, Cincinnati, and this makes it all the way to parts of southeastern Indiana. So it's a pretty big area that's going to be in the way of this, specifically for that slight risk. And then that marginal risk of severe weather, which is the surrounding areas of the slight risk, stretching all the way from southern New Hampshire and Vermont, all the way up into the upstate New York and Canada borderline, down through the Northeast, the interior parts of the Northeast. This rides through Boston. This rides through Providence. This goes through Rhode Island, parts of central and eastern Massachusetts, parts of eastern Connecticut, eastern Long Island, parts of southern New Jersey, down through the Delmarva area, and then this goes all the way down south into the southeast, where we run into another slight risk for severe weather, including portions of eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, western South Carolina, parts of northern Georgia, and northeastern Alabama. Okay, so that's going to be pretty much it for the categorical outlook for today in the Northeast. And then we go over the tornado outlook for today. You can see we're up to a 5% risk, which is, I would say this is generally a medium risk for tornadoes. I would say relatively high risk for tornadoes would be a 10 to 14% chance. For now, we're at a 5 to 9% chance, okay? So let me zoom out here. We're actually really, really zoomed in. Let me get us out here. Okay. That's better. Okay, so you can see that for a tornado outlook, we have a 5% chance for tornadoes, stretching all the way from southern New York State, and then down through parts of just northern PA. This isn't including just western PA. This is including just northern PA. Northwestern PA is also included in that. That includes area just north of Pittsburgh. This goes all the way out to Cleveland and then stops right here, just northeast of Columbus, Ohio. Okay, that's going to be our 5% risk for tornadoes today. For our 2% risk, stretches all the way from upstate New York down into parts of northern New Jersey. Not quite New York City. I don't think you guys are going to see a tornadic storm. It's definitely possible, but it's very unlikely. This goes all the way through northern New Jersey, parts of southern PA, parts of western West Virginia, and then this also does include areas of southern and central Ohio. That's going to be it for your tornado risk for today. That's going to specifically your 5 and 2% risks for tornadoes. Okay, so I'll get back out here to our 5 panel, or 4 panel, I should say. And then we'll go to our wind outlook. This is probably going to be our highest threat of the day. We have a 30% risk to 44% risk of seeing damaging wind gusts today. That is a pretty high risk for damaging wind gusts. I would consider a 30 to 44% risk of damaging wind gusts a pretty high risk. But Starting out here, it's that same area of that enhanced risk and 5% risk for tornadoes. You see a 30 to 44% risk, including areas just west of Albany. This rides through southern New York State down into parts of extreme northwestern New Jersey, parts of northern and western PA. This does include Pittsburgh. It does not include Philadelphia, but it does go through Pittsburgh and then stops right here around the Cleveland area. And yeah, so that's going to be pretty much it for your 30% risk. And then for that 15% risk of seeing damaging wind gusts, you have this area stretching from parts of southern Vermont, New Hampshire, down into parts of western Massachusetts, western Connecticut. This goes through New York City and Long Island. This goes through central and northern New Jersey, parts of southern Philadelphia, and then it just stops right out here in south, all the way from it goes all the way from upstate New York down into parts of southeastern Indiana, and then it also does include some areas of extreme uh, northern Kentucky and western West Virginia. There is another 15% risk for damaging wind gusts, including this area of the southeast, but that's going to be for that same area of that slight risk. Okay, that 5% risk is just the surrounding areas of that 15% risk. So for the last part of this section of the update, we're just going to be looking at our hail outlook. We are at a 15% risk with a hatched risk, so it's pretty interesting to see that we don't have a 30% risk up. But to start off, you can see that this is definitely going to be the biggest, I should say the largest threat of the day. Not kind of the most intense, but the area this is going to include the most largest area for under a threat of severe weather today. So it's going to include this entire area that's going to be stretching from areas of upstate New York down into parts of um, southern New England. This does include New York City and the western portions of Long Island. This goes right through. This goes right through northern New Jersey down into all of Pennsylvania. This goes through western West Virginia, parts of northern Kentucky. This also does include a lot of Ohio, not quite the northwestern part of Ohio, including like Totolo or Toledo, but it does include this pretty good chunk of Ohio, and then parts of southeastern Indiana is also, you guys will also be included in this 15% risk. Okay, for that hatch risk, we only have one major city in the way of this, which is Cleveland, Ohio, but it does include areas of upstate New York. This does include areas of northern Philadelphia, or sorry, northern PA, not Philadelphia, but it does include areas just north of Pittsburgh, PA. And then for the outside areas of that 15% risk, you've got that 5% risk for seeing severe hail. Okay, so that's going to be it for your severe weather outlook for today in the Northeast. We're just going to be looking at our NAM 3KM model now for, I believe, the central U.S. We're just going to be looking at what's in stock for you guys today as far as severe weather goes. So, starting out where we are right now, you can see those developing showers and thunderstorms off to the west out here in places of New Mexico, and then you can see these really start to ignite once we get into the midday hours of the day for you guys. I know out here in the eastern U.S. we're based off of Eastern time, so we're getting to the evening hours of today for us. But for you guys in the central U.S., you guys are just getting started to your mid afternoon. So we'll really start to see these storms get going as we get into the 4 or 5 p.m. Time frame for the central U.S. And you can see that already you start seeing this line of storms that's going to stretch from places of southeastern Colorado to the extreme areas of extreme western Oklahoma and northern Texas. That's going to rapidly intensify and grow to just a big cluster of storms. And I don't really expect storms to be too bad. Although, excuse me, we could see some damaging wind gusts with this storm. But it really depends on how strong this is going to be. I think the worst of the storms will probably be out here in parts of central Kansas, and then maybe even as far southwest as the panhandle of Oklahoma. But that also is going to try and ignite, and well, it's also going to try and form an even bigger storm pairing with this storm that's going to be reaching down from areas up north of South Dakota and of northern Nebraska. I think you guys in northern Nebraska could really get hit hard by some intense storms that could produce damaging wind gusts and some relatively large hail. I think that's all possible for you guys in that region. And then here you go, you get another. This would probably be the second day. Yeah, this is Sunday. We're getting to the afternoon hours of Sunday, and actually this might be the morning hours of Sunday. You're really starting to see the strongest of storms of both days in terms of as far as severe weather goes out here in parts of southwestern Missouri. This line of storms could make its way all the way out to the St. Louis area. And here you go. Yeah, it does get all the way out to the boot heel of Missouri. And this is pretty much going to make its way all the way into parts of now western Illinois. So it's gonna go all the way from the panhandle of Oklahoma, parts of Kansas and Nebraska, and then it's gonna make its way all the way out to parts of western and central Illinois, and then also parts of northern Arkansas. It's possible to see severe weather out there. And then for the rest of the day tomorrow, we could have some more late day severe weather ramp ups here. Some scattered severe storms are possible. And then here you go. You get another line of storms stretching all the way from parts of northern Texas all the way out to parts of southwestern Illinois. That's gonna be a pretty big area to watch for severe weather throughout Monday, and then we'll get into Tuesday, and I think we're gonna see a considerably less amount of severe storms as we get into Tuesday. So we're gonna wrap this up pretty quickly. I'm just gonna take a look at the categorical outlook for severe weather today for you guys in the central U.S. You got a slight risk, including some populated areas of southern Kansas. You can see Dodge City, Garden City, Great Bend, Hudson, Wichita, Kansas, and Liberal, Kansas are all going to be in this slight risk. This also does go through the panhandle of Oklahoma into northern Texas. So there's some major roadways out here that are in the way of this storm. We could see specifically Wichita, Pratt, Great Bend, Hudson, Dodge City, Garden City, and Liberal, Kansas are all in the way of this storm. So just keep in mind that there are a lot of people in the way of this severe weather event. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming to watch, and we'll see you guys in the next video. So watch out for that tornado threat and large hail threat and that damaging wind threat out there in the Northeast. It's also possible to see some strong severe storms out in the central U.S. But for the most part, it's going to be pretty much just a typical summer day of severe weather for you folks in the United States. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you guys in the next update.